great.
Well, if you could go back to when you were that age, would you train any different? Would you do anything different?
I don't like to think that way, but I was pretty lucky to grow up in Europe where they teach a lot of basics before they ever move on to how to use your athleticism and all that you automatically do here. And I was just really good with footwork and things like that I'm really lucky to have had a coach that really took time to teach me that stuff. So in that aspect, but I didn't shoot a three till my first year in college. I would have probably changed that because the first 2 years were shooting under 30, which is pretty bad for a guard. And last summer I really focused on just shooting my threes, and for the season I shot just under 50%, which is a pretty good difference for not having ever shot a three-point shot. But that's pretty much the biggest thing I would change.
Well, if you're shooting over 40%, you got the green light from me from the three-point line.
Yeah.
You know. That's interesting that you really didn't have an emphasis on shooting behind that line until you got into college. I mean, there are literally kids that are 12 years old that are chucking it from just to be able to say they've hit one from behind the line, and I think it really messes up their shot development.
Oh yeah, I agree. When we have Maryland camps, I know when I see girls shoot threes, sometimes I'm like, don't shoot threes until you get your form down, until you get some strength, and you're able to keep your form as well as step back and use your legs. And that, I mean, I don't encourage it at all. And me, it wasn't. I was always strong enough. I just never needed to shoot threes, and just went by people. And it's like a monster kind of thing where you're pretty good and you don't need to, but you don't work on it because you think you're not going to need it. And the next level, you need it.
So you think if you went back, you'd probably start shooting a little more in high school or something like that?
Yeah, I'd shoot more threes, more game-like threes in high school for sure.
Game-like threes. That's good to hear that. Game shots, game speeds, and game spots, huh?
Always.
Let's go back over that again, because I want the young players to hear you say it and say it in a different way maybe. How would you start building a player up? If they were 10, 12 years old and you're going to start them, what would you do?
I'd work on two things first: footwork, whether it's how you come off a screen, how using your pivot foot, things like that, and form. I mean, simple form, because wherever you shoot, your form should be the exact same thing. The only thing that changes is how you use your legs and how much momentum your legs give you. That's the only difference I have in my shot. So the form is the same everywhere, so it doesn't really matter if you're shooting a three or not. You need to have that form down, like you can sleep and you're doing it in your sleep. So those two things, footwork and my shot, just you don't even have to be far from the basket at all. I mean, just in your range, and just get that down.
What would you do next? You got footwork, you got your shot form. What now?
Once you really got that down, you can start doing off the dribble stuff. A lot, in the next level, it's hard to get your shot off just by shooting. So I do a lot of off the screen things, curling, fading, things like that. That you need to. It becomes more of a read the defense, because once you can shoot off the dribble, off the catch, all that stuff, it becomes reading the defense and understanding the game. Which the more you play, the better you get at that. So it's hard to simulate things like that.
Sure it is. After you've played great defense, and after you've worked the ball on offense and set the defense up, it still boils down to one person putting the rock in the hole. Somebody's got to take that big shot, And there's a lot of players that are not comfortable doing that. And there's a lot of players I've noticed over my life that feel like they were born to do that. That's kind of what I want to talk to you about, is we don't really get into the minds of scorers and shooters and see what's going on between the ears. And maybe you could tell me when you first began to see yourself as that kind of a player. And I'm not asking you to be humble here, okay? We can be humble some other time. I want to know what goes on in the mind of a great shooter and a great scorer.
I think the more you score, the more confidence you get, for sure. the more confidence your teammates have in you. But it just comes down to, for me is, I want to know that I did everything I possibly could to win that game. And taking that big shot and knowing that, I have nerves of steel and another girl might not. Like, I have to know that about my team and know, who I can and cannot pass to in certain situations, because sometimes you do have to give the ball up. As a great shooter, you also have to know people are going to know you're going to take that shot, and you have to know how to set up your teammates, so that's really important. But I just have to feel like I did everything I could to get that shot up. I feel like I work hard enough, I train hard enough, I'm ready for any situation when I get to the game, and I shoot the ball. And like I said, win or lose, you take it hard if you miss, but you got to know that it doesn't come down to that one shot, and life goes on and it's just a game. And so that mentality of wanting